Hey, everybody, welcome back to the UCM podcast. I am Dr. Bill Davis, and I'm here with my buddy, my guy, Tony Hook. What's going on?
Not much. I'm glad to be here and to tackle this topic. I enjoy every year doing the upper cervical practice survey because we get to get feedback. How are things going? How is the health and well-being of you doctors and you listeners here? Because we want to serve you, but also know, like, are we all succeeding on our mission? Are you guys healthy? Are you doing well? So I like going through this stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this, for anybody out there that doesn't know, we've done the upper cervical practice survey now for 9 straight years. So every year we've done it since 2015. And we've been able to get a lot of really good information and just help the whole industry better understand best practices, really, and better understand things like pricing, for instance, and other things that are really important, like when it comes to marketing and different aspects of your practice. And so going to go through a very high level understanding of the survey. We took a very deep dive on our website. If you want to get really into the specifics of your specific practice growth stage, you're unsure of your practice growth stage, you can go over to our website as well and find what your current practice growth stage is. If you're in growth stage 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or so forth. And so it will give you a better understanding of that. And then the survey data, you can see we've really broken it down and analyzed it based on where you currently are in practice and how this applies to you, using doctors from the survey who are in the same growth stage as you are. So we were able to identify some very specific things from that. So you can go over to the website. I've given this huge URL that you can look at on the screen right now, right? But yeah, if you just go over the website and click on blog, you'll see it there. Upper cervical practice survey results sitting right there for you. You can just Google it too. You can probably find it that way. But either way, 2023 upper cervical practice survey results are at the website, uppercervicalmarketing.com. You can get the full detailed breakdown and analysis there. But let's go through some of the specifics. And one of the most common, or one of the most interesting questions, I think, for doctors that we do every year is, what is the average patient visit? And this is a question I get a lot of times when I'm interacting with doctors, because they know that we know this information because we do these surveys. Oh, what are people charging now? Like, what's the average cost that people are charging for an adjustment? What is the average patient visit, right? And so this is a huge one, and it's not a surprise to me that it's up again. So you can see it on your screen if you're watching this video version. 5 straight years we've asked this specific question. Every year it's gone up. This year the average patient visit was at $77, right? And so we've seen it since 2019. It's risen from $60 to $65 to $70, $75, and now $77 the average patient visits. So what does that mean? Well, that means that there are doctors who are charging $130, $135 per visit, and there's doctors that are charging $40 per visit.
Yeah.
And the average of all the doctors in the survey this year, $77. So two things. One is, have you increased your price in 5 years? Since every year it's gone up, have you increased your price in 5 years for the care that you're providing? And 2 is, why is there such a huge disparity between maybe what you're charging and the average, or the doctors who are charging so much more than you, right?
So there's also a degree, like, obviously market plays a role. We get that because right now you're looking at this and some of you are going, oh yeah, but my market. Sure, to a point, yes. But I would even put it to you that there are those in your market that would probably pay more. So you just got to find them. And then the other aspect is, I know there's some pushback on pricing when you're new in your practice and you're like, I just don't feel like I can charge $80 for my point. I just don't feel like I'm giving that. Well, that's your mindset. That's a mindset. That's a you issue, not a them issue. And I encourage you to work on your mindset, work on your value, how you value the service you bring, the power of upper cervical, and if you're not there yet, mentally go, okay, where should I be? We're actually, right now we're approaching the end of 2023. Where should I be in 2024? Because this is a good time to raise, hey, it's new year, we're going to raise our rates. So be thinking about that. Where do I need to be? What do I need to do to get to that point where I'm confident that I can charge that stuff? And I say, go for it. Cause if you're charging $40-$50, it's like a no brainer to me. It's like, dude, it's too low. You're devaluing all of us as a profession. Not faulting you, not pointing fingers, but
it is what it is, right?
What are you doing?
Is what it is. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, if you need to raise the value in your own mind, then raise the value. Learn more about your technique. Get better at it.
That's right.
Send in films to mentors so that you can get better at what you're doing. Get better so you can charge more if that's what you need to do, or just break through it. If you already are doing great work, if you're helping tons of people in your community and you're just not charging for it, then what are you doing? Right? It's you got to be paid for what you're doing. And so sometimes it's this misunderstanding that somehow charging more for something is wrong, and it's right. Just not. Do car companies, do they feel bad that they raise their prices of their cars every year? Right? Do you get upset when you sell your house for more than you bought it for? No, because things go up in value, and your care should go up in value over time too. That's how it should be. And so bringing that visit up, even if it's a few dollars every year, should be something that's happening within your practice, so that you're continuing to place a higher and higher value on the care you're providing. And I'll tell you, it's, like you said, when it comes to areas of the country, areas of the world, there's really just, there's no reason anywhere in the country that you should be charging $40-$50 per visit. It's just, when you're looking at the average, and the average is 77, it's, you're providing a high level service. You're not a rack 'em and crack 'em. You're not a $19 chiropractic visit. You're providing a high quality service. You've invested into your technique. You are helping people that no one else can help. You should be paid appropriately for it.
Spot on. I can't even add anything else to that. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Get over yourself.
So, and this kind of goes along with it. The next one, average care plan, right? We look at this every year, or we've looked at least for the past 5 years, and it's average somewhere between $1,500 and $1,900 is the average care plan. And so this year was at $1,800. And so again, one of the issues that we see with a lot of docs that are struggling, especially if they're in, some of those earlier stages of growth, practice growth stage 1 or 2, is they just don't have an effective care plan where they're either charging enough for the care plan. So a lot of times it's, they're not charging for progress exams. They're not charging for retakes on films. They're not charging for a lot of the things that they're doing. And so their cost of care plan is way lower than the industry average. And so, if your care plan's less than $1,000, or you're still not doing any kind of a care plan where you're laying out a expected understanding of what a patient should expect in your office, then you're just not consistent with what is best when it comes to the industry and the industry averages that we're seeing.
Yeah. And this is connected obviously to your, average office visit cost, right? But when you don't have the care plan and putting that on the front end so that the patient knows what to expect and they're committing. Like, I would venture to say that if you're not using a care plan, your people are dropping out of care because they go, oh yeah, I feel better. I'll reach out when I need you. And because
Right.
they haven't, their commitment level is way lower. Right. And so they're not seeing it through. So like, obviously you're not symptoms based. You're not just treating symptoms. Okay. So when you have a care plan, you're obviously designing a care plan to take them all the way through to like they are well. And it's not just the symptoms that they came with. Obviously that was the connecting point, but they are going to get better sleep, better energy, thought process, all these different things that are going to be side effects of it, and just a better life because they're in alignment and they're holding their adjustment. They're not falling out all the time of alignment. So all that to say is when somebody doesn't buy in with a care plan, we'll say, if they're not as committed like that, then as soon as those symptoms go away, they're out, man. They're like, okay, cool. I guess I'm good. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them don't do it. They're going to, most likely, they're going to do it. So
Yeah,
meaning
the average, if you don't do a care plan, the average number of visits that someone will come into your practice is 6. And that's because after 6 visits, they'll either feel better or they won't, right? They'll either feel better or they won't after 6 visits. And so that's going to be how many times you'll see the average patient in your practice. But we know that there are a lot of people who, even if they don't feel better after 6 visits, they're going to get incredible results in your practice.
it's got to
Right?
stick it out. Yeah.
They need to be there for 12 visits. They need to be there for 15 visits in order to really get the point where they get to where you want for them and what they want ultimately as well, which is to get to a place of relief, but more than relief, of recovery and of long lasting results, right? That's what everyone wants, right? I mean, they want fast relief, of course, right? We all want that fast relief, but people want maximum recovery. They want to fully recover from what they're dealing with, not just have to keep putting a band-aid on it. And they want long lasting results. And I'll tell you, I'll argue with every doc who ever says, "Oh, I just go visit by visit," or "I don't do a care plan," or I just practice differently." Well, you know what? You're not serving your patients as well as you could because you are not giving them up front what they actually need. And so, average care plan, yeah, $1,800, no problem, right? We see doctors in the survey with a $5,000 care plan, a $3,000 care plan, $4,000 care plan, right? $1,800 is the average. $1,800, which is not. I mean, there are so many things in this world that we spend $1,800 on. It's insane. So it's no doubt that your care is worth that and a whole lot more. And so raise your care plan, work on that. Goes along with that other one. Raise your mindset, raise your understanding of what you're doing, and that goes along with charging more, and it goes into actually having a care plan.
Yeah.
Next one, biggest challenge in practice every year except for 2020 when it was COVID restrictions. But every year in the survey, we've seen that the biggest challenge in practice is obtaining enough new patients, right? New patient problem. And we see, it kind of goes along with this one. The average new patients of this year's survey was 17 new patients per month, right? And it's basically been between 15 and 20. And so let's talk about new patients, Tony. What's the deal with new patients? Why is it always such a problem for docs?
Well, if we're trying to grow, obviously new patients is key. If you're getting people well, new patients is key, right? So it's one of the unique things about what you docs do. It's like it's a weird business plan, right? We're going to get you better and better to where you don't need us very often. So it creates it's a wonderful thing, but it also creates a need for new people through the funnel, so to speak. And so that is a big a big thing. It always has been, right? So I think it always will be. I think it's always be number one, because the more new patients you have, the more your practice is going to thrive, and you're making higher collections and succeeding on your mission and all those things. And so, that's why it's important to have, what are you doing locally to get professional referrals? How are you being intentional about that? How are you doing any kind of local marketing or screenings or health talks or online marketing, positioning yourself online, ads, those kinds of things, because that's what you need to be doing something. It's not, and even just how do you convert your referrals from your current patients? What is your strategy for converting those? Or you just kind of passively sit by and say, oh, well, they'll just let us know? Or do you have a system to actually convert that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of goes along with the next couple questions too, when we look at marketing, because really the main reason why you have a new patient problem is because you don't have enough new patient sources, right? Is really what it comes down to. Or the sources that you have aren't generating enough new patients, right? So it's either one of the two. You either need more sources, or the sources that you have need to be better. And so that's where we look at actually marketing, right? Best external marketing, again, this year, every year that we've done the survey, has been digital marketing. 9 straight years, digital marketing has been the most effective way to generate new patients. Digital marketing is everything from, your website to social media to Facebook ads, to SEO and videos and everything. So it's digital marketing has been the most effective way to generate new patients. And then internally, it's patient education, right? So combination of patient education and digital marketing has been the winning combination for every year we've done the survey. And so you have to look at that. Is that, first of all, if you have a new patient problem, are you crushing your digital marketing and patient education? Like, do you have such a solid program of upper cervical specific digital marketing for your area where you are just dominating your market and you're just getting consistent new patients every month? Are you getting 10 to 15 new patients a month just from your digital? If not, you should be talking to us, because that's what we see for our docs all the time, right? I mean, it just is. Like, I mean, I look at review calls and doing these today. I'm looking at our results, right? This is what we do. We see it every month. 10 to 15 new patients a month is very consistent what we see for docs. And so if you don't have that, then you should be talking to us, because we can help you with that. The other part of it is patient education. Like, I mean, do you have a system in play where you are talking with people from the new patient phone call all the way, new patient phone call, new patient visit, consultation, exam, report of findings, existing visits, progress exams? Like, have you thought through all those processes so that you have a consistent message of what you do and why you do it, and how you can communicate that to them so that they understand it and they can tell others, right? Because that's all part of that patient education process that consistently generates new patients for you. And so if you just focus on those two things in and of themselves, because those are the best ways, we've seen it over and over and over, yep. Digital marketing and patient education, if you focus on those two things, which sure enough, that's what our practice growth system is all about. From a marketing perspective, is all about patient education and digital marketing. If you do those two things, then you shouldn't have a new patient problem, right? I mean, we have doctors who are generating 50 new patients per month, right? That's their for their whole office, right? All their sources and all the things that they're doing. 50 new patients per month, right? I guarantee they didn't mark down that their biggest challenge in 2023 was new patients, right? And so it's out there. There's people out there. They desperately need your help. You got to have strategies in place to make it happen, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it, Bill. Is that, like, if docs that are listening to this, you're in this because you want to impact your community. Like, that's how you got into this. That's the mission. You want to bring hope and healing to sick and suffering people. That's why you're doing this. And, we already know that there is no shortage of people. There are so many people walking around with subluxations and they're not living their best life. They're just getting by. Maybe they're scheduled for a surgery that's irreversible. Maybe they're, on pain pills, medicated to the max. They're not the best parents and kids and friends and husbands, wives, et cetera, workers, you name it. So the demand far exceeds the you guys being able to deliver on this. And so if that's the case, then how are you not reaching them, right? So like the demand is high, but there's no reason we should have a new patient problem. So like it's about, what are some things we can do inside the office? Like you got to be intentional about it. Don't be passive. Okay. It's not just, oh yeah, we'll deliver the goods and the rest will take care of itself. Get strategic on it. Like what can we be doing? Or at least what's one thing we can do this quarter to move the needle on this? And then next quarter, what's one thing we can do this next quarter? And whether that be a mixture of all the things we're talking about, like the patient education you see on the screen here, or is it online marketing? Is it SEO stuff? Is it content like events, like for referral contest or something like that? Whatever that is, like just be intentional about it. Try some things, see what works, and find what works with your team in your office. Find what works for your community, what they kind of resonate with. Because you just never know. Like, but don't do nothing. And can't do nothing and expect different results. That's kind of
exactly right. And so that, I mean, as we're nearing the end of 2023, what's your 2024 plan to increase your new patients? Right? If that's your biggest challenge of 2023, which was the majority, what are you going to do different in 2024? Right? It's as simple as that. Like, what are you going to do different? Are you going to take a look at what we can offer you? Are you going to figure out something else to do internally? Are you going to work with us on practice growth sessions or whatever it may be to identify some problems? So it's, we're here to help upper cervical doctors grow in their practices. I mean, that's like what we're all about. For 10 years, that's all we've been doing is helping upper cervical practices grow. And so, why not have at least a conversation with us as the end of this year comes around? It's like, why not at least talk with us and say, hey, is this a good fit? Could we partner effectively together? It all depends on your situation and whether or not it would be a good fit or not, but you don't know until you have a conversation with us.
Yeah.
So moving on from there, let's talk about solo practice. So this is always a frustrating one for me because for 9 years, or 10 years or whatever, since we've had UCM, I've been talking about, man, we really need to grow more multi-doctor practices, right? Have more doctors in associate positions, grow the practices that are doing well by adding additional doctors in. And unfortunately, that's not happening. We're not seeing that. In fact, this year was the highest percentage of solo practices we've ever seen. And so, I encourage you docs, man, if you have a good practice, I mean, and when we deep dived in this in the full survey results, talked about those doctors who are collecting more than $35,000 per month and are still in solo practice, right? And so it's imperative that you who have gotten to that point when you're at 35, 45, 55, 65, 85, 100, even 100 plus 100,000 I've seen still in solo practice. Please, doc, develop an associate program within your practice. Students need it, doctors need it, and your community needs it, because I guarantee that you are not able, your capacity has been reached. And if it hasn't, it will be. Like, no one can continue to see more and more patients and not have a waiting list and not do all the things that we say, please don't do. And I implore you, doctors, make 2024 the year that you finally start to develop an associate program. Look for ways. And if you need help with this, if you need help finding associates, developing a program, developing KPIs, developing the KRAs, doing all those things, we can help you with this as well. We want you to grow. And if this is your sticking point, then we can help you.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, I just did a podcast today actually on this in regards to, students coming out and, not doing upper cervical and how there's been a decrease in that number. And so, as it pertains to this, like, don't be shy about getting involved with the colleges too. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, cause you're like, well, who would I bring on? But like, get involved, like talk to the clubs. Look, you can come by and speak. You can do it now. They'll do a Zoom call. You can just, you don't even have to go there necessarily. You can just talk in. The club will, you can join on Zoom, or maybe you teach at one of the colleges. I mean, but there's like an investing in the mission, in the upper cervical mission. And so open that up. Just start thinking about like, how could we incorporate this? How do I multiply myself? Right? Who can I pour into? Who would be great? Because I guarantee there's somebody that's a good fit for your office, and they just don't know that you're open to having them come by. So have them come by, find a way to like say, if you guys want to shadow, you want to come in, just check it out and see what the power of upper cervical and what we do here. And you're going to find that there's somebody that clicks. And they're just like, man, I want to learn from this guy or this girl.
Yeah.
And so like, there it is, and you'll find that now I'm not alone. It opens up a whole new level of being able to reach our community and really, change people's lives.
That's it. It's about the mission. It's about, hey, you can figure this out, right? Like if you're that doctor and you're listening to this and you're collecting $50,000 per month and you have a practice that you're completely at capacity with, you don't have an associate yet, you've got to figure it out. Like you can figure it out. It's not like, well, there's just not any doctor. No, sometimes you have to create a doctor, like what you're talking about, right? You go to a college, you speak to the students there, and you convert one into an upper cervical doctor, right? Like, I mean, that's how it works. I mean, how did the majority of us have? We had to have an experience with someone who was doing upper cervical, and it changed our lives, right? And so you got to get out there and talk to the schools, talk to students. You can't just sit in your office and wait for them to show up. So, but there's a lot of ways, a lot of different strategies you can employ to get an associate. It's just a matter of you got to want it. Last one here that we're going to talk about today is cash practice. And this is a question, again, that we've asked the past 5-6 years is, what percentage of your practice is cash? And I'll say, this was definitely encouraging. We encourage doctors to have cash practices, and this year we had the highest percentage of upper cervical doctors within the survey. Over 50% of them were 100% cash practices, and so majority has been it's always the majority is 75 to 99% of their practice is cash, or 100%. That's always the majority, but this is the highest we've ever seen it, where it's 100% cash practices for 50% of the doctors in the survey. So that was encouraging to see that it seems like more doctors are bailing out of insurance completely, or saying, you know what, I'm going to start 100% cash like I did when I started my practice. Right? This is encouraging to see this. And again, if you're at that place where you're in the minority of you know what, I still have an insurance practice, like I still have a majority insurance practice, maybe 2024 is the year that you can start to shift, going towards that cash practice. And again, we've been able to help doctors with that as well, right? So, I mean, Tony, maybe you could talk a little about that.
So I'd like to speak on that, because there's a particular doctor that comes to mind, and there's actually, over the years of me doing this for 7 years, there's been a number that have gone from being insurance mind, hey, we'll take insurance, to converting them into cash, and not a single one who's done that has regretted it.
That's right.
Not one. They say, what they all say though? I should have done it.
Wish I would have done it sooner.
Yep. I wish I would have done it sooner, and I'm thinking the most recent one, he said, you were right. So, which I like hearing, but that's my own ego.
It's a blessing, because in so many different ways, because it allows you to take care of patients the way that you need to, right? Yes. Not the way that the insurance company thinks you need to,
because they don't get it.
You need to, right?
They don't get it. The insurance
No,
company
they,
doesn't get it. No, no. And so, and if you wanted to help somebody, because it's a lot, usually you get into insurance because you're one of two reasons. One, you're brand new and you're like, I'll take anybody for any amount. Well, we already talked about that mindset earlier. Like that, don't devalue yourself. Okay. That aside, there's the other aspect of taking insurance is, you're you're wanting to get results for people. And so you're like, oh, you know what? I don't want to turn people away. And if they've got insurance and they're coming to me, if I turn them away, then they don't get the help that they need. Well, you know what? You're going to probably free up yourself that new patient slot for someone else then. Right? That's the reality of it. You're going to free yourself up for somebody else that's going to take up that new patient slot. And guess what? If you're doing 100% cash, I guarantee you're making more per visit. Then do it pro bono for them. Just say, you know what? I'm going to make an exception. You come in and I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
But now you're able to do that because you're making higher return.
That was my policy when I started my practice. It was full fee or free, and so I would have, I would take at least one charity case a month, basically, someone that I just wanted to give care to, right? And that was totally, that was a great thing to be able to do that, because I was not having to constantly think about, well, is insurance going to pay this or insurance going to pay that? No, you know what? I'm going to tell you how much it is. And, people pay for what they value. And so if they value the care that you provide, they'll pay for it. They'll pay cash. They'll pay what they'll pay for it. So.
Oh, I want to add one more thing. Not only did every doc that converted from taking insurance into cash practice say that, hey, I wish I would have done it sooner. Or none of them said that they regret it. They all said also that their collections went up.
Up. That's right.
So it's a win across the board, man.
Yeah, and your overhead goes down.
Yeah.
Your overhead goes down. Your collections go up. And so again, 2024 is coming. That's the year. Maybe you're going to go fully 100% cash, or at least start moving in that direction. So again, I encourage you to do it. So lastly, just wanted to throw it out there, docs. If you really want to grow your practice in 2024, get a free practice strategy session with us. You can visit uppercervicalmarketing.com, grab that. We can talk with you about a growth system or growth sessions or whatever. We're all about helping you grow in 2024 and beyond. And so love to talk with you about that and help you get a plan going for 2024 of your practice growth. So again, Tony, thanks for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. And wherever you are, go team Upper Cervical.
Upper Cervical.